Welcome, I'm Kevin Keel, an OpenSciEd teacher and facilitator. Happy to be with you for this overview of Lesson 4. This is a key lesson for students in building their understanding of how different vibrations can produce different sounds. Also offers students good opportunities to build their graphing skills and understand why sound is often represented as a wave. So there's a lot of good things happening in this lesson. Remember in the last lesson, students figured out that all objects vibrate when they make a sound, and they vibrate more when they're producing louder sounds. And we're digging in on that a little bit. What do we mean by more? So in this lesson, we're wondering how exactly do the vibrations compare for louder versus softer sounds? And it was hard to see the vibrations in the last lesson. In this lesson, we're going to use a motion detector meter stick apparatus. It's going to generate some graphs of the vibrations so we can see and compare them a little bit more easily. So this is an investigation lesson. Takes 2 days, about 60 minutes of prep, mostly for the demonstration you're going to do. It doesn't require students to use their devices. However, there is a time in the lesson where I have students use devices. I'll share more about that later. And then 2 videos. First, the video showing how to set up the software for the motion detector, which I would highly recommend watching. And then an optional video of a music box if you don't have one available in your classroom. There's 2 main components or chunks in this lesson, one in day 1 and the other in day 2. So in day 1, we're starting by introducing the progress tracker to students, which is the tool that we use in OpenSciEd to help students monitor what they've figured out throughout a unit. So in part 1, we're reflecting back on what we figured out from the previous lesson, adding that to our progress tracker. In parts 2 and 3, you're introducing students to this motion detector meter stick apparatus that's going to help us see vibrations a little bit more clearly. In part 4, you're testing that apparatus, producing graphs for the vibrations of both a soft and a loud sound. You're also investigating a computer simulation and collecting graphs from that. And then in part 5, students are just individually looking for patterns in all that data that was collected. So the big takeaway from day 1 is that we can use this stick apparatus to better see vibrations and compare them for loud and soft sounds. To start day 2, you're going to gather in scientist circle, have students share the patterns they noticed, add what you figured out to the progress tracker. Part 8, evaluate the stick apparatus. How is it a good representation of sound makers? What are some limitations to it? And then in part 9, you're going to start thinking about pitch. So far in this lesson, we've just focused on volume. What about pitch? So you're going to start thinking about that. So the big takeaway from day 2 is that motion graphs of louder sounds show a higher amplitude, and graphs showing the vibrations of softer sounds have a lower amplitude. So that's what we figured out in this lesson, that when we apply more force to something, it leads to larger vibrations, which have greater amplitude and produce louder sounds. And just the opposite for quieter sounds. Just a few key moments I want to highlight. First, in parts 2 and 3, you're introducing this whole motion detector meter stick apparatus. Part 2, you're familiarizing students with just the motion detector. You're having a student stand a certain distance away from the motion detector, walk towards it, watch the line on the software that you're displaying go down. Have the student move away from the motion detector, watch the line go up. You can have the student move back and forth, watching the line go up and down. You could even have them run back and forth like crazy, watch the line go up and down like crazy in a safe manner. All you're doing is just helping students see that this line that's produced is tracking the movement of the object moving back and forth. In part 3, you're going to add the stick to this apparatus and discuss how the stick represents sound makers. It can vibrate back and forth. You can apply more force and have it vibrate more to represent loud sounds, and then vice versa for soft sounds. Part 4, you're going to give students a handout where they're going to track the data. First, though, before you do the test, have them make predictions. So start out by having them predict what the graph will look like if the stick just sits there and doesn't even move, like you apply no force to it. The line's going to start out at 0.5 with a dashed line. That's what I do. Have students make their prediction of what the line's going to look like. Then go ahead and test it, run the software for 2 seconds. Have students record the line that's actually produced from the test with a solid line on their graph. And then you're going to repeat that same process for both a light push representing a soft sound and a harder push representing a loud sound. Have students make predictions, actually run the motion detector software, and then have them record the actual results. Students are also going to collect data of vibrations from a speaker. Well, not really a speaker, I guess, the simulation of a speaker. So you'll, at least in the teacher's edition, they have you display this simulation, produce a sound with a low volume and a high volume, have students record the graphs that result. And there's not a great spot for them to do that. They can do that either to the right of their handout if they have room, or on the back. Then in part 6, you're gathering all together in scientist circle. You're discussing the patterns that they noticed. And our focus here is on patterns they notice when they compare sounds of different volume. So our focus is just on amplitude. And they're going to notice sounds that are louder produce bigger waves. Here's where we'll start using the term wave. You can even have volunteers measure the distance from the starting point in each graph, so you're better comparing the amplitude. And throughout this discussion, you're tracking the takeaways on this characteristics of wave poster. Again, the big takeaway: louder sounds are produced from larger vibrations with bigger amplitudes. We know that pitch is another way that sounds are different. So in the next lesson, we're going to investigate pitch and think about how we can adjust our meter stick apparatus to represent the vibrations that produce high and low pitches. Just a few tips. First, I would only focus on amplitude in this lesson. I know the teacher's edition calls for some discussion about frequency and even adding frequency to the word wall. I wouldn't worry about frequency until the next lesson and only focus on amplitude in this lesson. It's just easier for students when we deal with one of them at a time, I found. Also, set the graph on the computer software to exactly match the graph on their handout. Make their axes identical so that what you're displaying is exactly what they have in their handout. It's just easier for them to copy and record the data. I have some meter sticks that are thinner than others. They work the best, they're flimsy, they vibrate a little bit better. Also make sure when you're running the test that no one is behind the meter stick. The motion detector will then pick up that movement, won't read the vibration quite as well. Some teachers that I've heard had issues with the motion detector picking up the vibration of the meter stick. I haven't. As long as it's 0.5 meters away, nothing's behind the meter stick that's moving. I haven't had issues. Some teachers that have tried taping note cards or something bigger on their meter stick, and they've reported that that helps. So if that's an issue, you can try that. Also, save the graphs that are generated from your tests, or even better yet, generate them prior to class. That way you have them when you're analyzing the data. And I should note, if for whatever reason you can't do the demonstration because you don't have a motion detector, I've seen videos on the Facebook group where people have recorded their demonstration. So I would use that. And then in terms of the computer simulation, here's where I have students use their devices and individually gather data from the simulation. If you have the ability and the time to do that, I would recommend that. It's just students have been sitting and listening and watching me demonstrate things for long enough. Here's an opportunity for them to do it individually. In this lesson, we're going to add amplitude to the word wall during part 6, the class discussion. Again, frequency I wouldn't worry about till the next lesson. And then we're going to encounter peak and valley during the class discussion as well. The one poster that you're going to create, characteristics of waves, I would hang on to that and save it for the next lesson because you'll add to it in the next lesson. I think that might be a little different than how they have it in the teacher's edition, but I found best success with that. All right. Well, that's it for lesson 4. Key lesson in understanding how different vibrations are producing loud and soft sounds. But what about pitch? How are vibrations producing different pitches? We'll investigate that in the next lesson. See you then.